Homeschooling. So in America, we have the freedom to construct a family life and a childhood for our kids the way that we want to, depending on our brains, our creativity, and our life lessons. That's one of the wonderful things about homeschooling. So, and then also it's going to depend if a parent takes this upon themselves, it's usually because they have ideas of what they want to teach in a different way than doing it based on conformity. I noticed in Germany, there's this idea that people need to send their kids to school so that their kids all learn the same thing, and it's kind of to normalize belief systems. And I've also heard that they want kids to learn different beliefs than them, and they want them to learn to so you're distracting me. It's okay. To interact with people with different beliefs and different ways of life. So that's an assumption I want to look at. Is learning to deal with other people with different backgrounds a positive, or is Germany just assuming it's a positive? So if you're talking about just like, I can see that at a party, like being able to talk to different people at parties and make friends, but in your normal life, I don't think you need to interact with people who are totally different from you, or from different parts of the world, or with different religions. I don't think that's necessary. And I think that the goal is to build tolerance, to have like a global civilization, but there's something there underneath the surface. Being exposed to differing beliefs, let's say you're a Christian and you grow up Christian and it's working well for you, and your society and civilization are thriving with it, and you're peaceful. Why do you need to be around people who are Muslim? Like that's a serious question. Why do I need to learn what Muslims believe? How does that strengthen my experience in life? How does that make me more tolerant? I think in certain religions like Christianity, you're already tolerant. You're already supposed to be tolerant to people, and you don't need to learn other people's beliefs or be around people with differing beliefs to be a tolerant, peaceful person. So that's just an inaccurate assumption that you have to be around people, you have to learn their way of life and their beliefs, and you have to do that when you're a kid, especially. No, I don't think that's a necessity for learning how to function in life as a peaceful and good citizen. So that's one thing that I see wrong with Germany. So that's a flawed assumption from the start. This idea, well, you have to be around diverse people as a kid, so you have to send your kids to school. That's just a flawed assumption from the outright. Show me how that's going to strengthen their experience in life or strengthen them as a citizen. I just think that's a flawed assumption. So let's push that aside, and let's just push that aside, and let's get to the other topics of homeschool. If you believe that you can teach kids to be good citizens without that, then homeschool becomes a wonderful open opportunity. And then it's going to depend what you want to teach them. So I have little kids home right now that are 4 and 6. And that was totally on me when I want to teach my children the alphabet. So I'm always looking at it from how I think this is how I can best serve my kids. And I'm always thinking about, what does it look like from the outside? So if you have a 6-year-old who doesn't know the alphabet, you're going to get side-eye. But I'm okay with side-eye. I think I should wait until my children are ready to learn, instead of just doing what other kids do. Other kids might learn the alphabet when they're 3 or 4, but is that in their best interest? I don't know. I don't think learning the alphabet improves literacy when they're 3 or 4. I think they can just be totally literate, go on to get a PhD if they learn it when they're 6. So when I have this kind of natural personality to question everything and just look at different options, instead of saying kids need to learn ABCs as soon as possible, starting when they're 2 or starting when they're 4, instead of doing that, I'm going to say, well, let me look at these other like, let me look at this other option, let me look at this other option, and just kind of like brainstorm in my head, what else? Is this really the right way? Could we do it better? Is this the only way? Are there other ways? So that's kind of my temperament as a person. It's something that I've learned from being alive, like ask questions, look at things differently. So I really appreciate being in America where we're allowed to have thoughts. Like, these are my thoughts. If I lived in Germany, I'd have to like tell myself in my head to shut up, stop asking questions, stop thinking, just do what everyone says. And that's an affront to my soul. Like, if I lived in Germany, I don't think I could respect other people for going along with that. So, and because I have this freedom, it gives me a sense of extreme duty. Like in ancient Greece, from what I've read about, they would have like normal people be called to be, what's it called? The Caesar, or like the in charge of their military. They just have like normal people, like, oh, we like your virtuous qualities, come lead our army, or we like your virtuous qualities, come teach a class to these kids. They would have normal citizens doing all of the work in their civilization, whoever was best fit to do it. And you didn't have to get credentials, you didn't have to get certifications like you do now if you want to be a teacher, or you want to do a certain job where you have to have credentials to do it. You didn't have to have that back then. And I really appreciate that dignity, and that they assume that citizens in a civilization have virtue. They want to do good by God. They want to do good by their children. And so we kind of have that in America, where if you choose to homeschool, it's assumed that you have dignity and you're going to do a good job. So that gives me a sense of respect. Like, I'm expected and I'm respected to do these things. So that makes me take homeschooling seriously. So so right now I have my 4 and 6-year-old learning the alphabet, and they're totally ready. Like, when I did try this earlier, they weren't ready earlier in the year, last year, but now it's a perfect timing. They're 4 and 6 and everything's clicking, and it's going a lot smoother than it would have if I pushed it. So I just really like that freedom. And then because I take it so seriously, I want to do more. So then we look at the classical education. Like, what can I do more? I have my 4-year-old, this morning he did his Arabic. He's learning letters, and he can identify 3-letter words in Arabic. So if I was in another country, it's just sad. It's so sad. To me, it's like the Dark Ages, like where it's a dictatorship, where they tell you what you're allowed to think. Like in the countries where homeschooling is illegal, they tell you like what you're allowed to create. Like in America, creativity is maybe not perfect in our culture now because of everything, the globalization. I think that hurts us. But when America was like on its own, like a little bit more independent, your creativity was considered a gift from God, and you were encouraged to use it. And that's what I use in homeschool. As a homeschool educator, I'm using my creativity. I create the curriculum. I look at the next 12 years that I'm going to be teaching them. I have my plan, and it's so much freedom to make education as much as it can be, and that's more. You know, when I first started to homeschool, when my daughter was going in kindergarten, and I knew I'd have to defend my stance against people who follow the conventional path and send their kids to school, I knew they would wonder, like, why aren't you doing that? Because that's what they're going to wonder. And for me, it was, I know I can do it better. So if I send my kids to school, I'm going to be constantly thinking, why are they teaching you this? Why aren't they teaching you that? And I'm probably going to be emailing the teacher like, why are you doing this? And I just realized if I have this many criticisms, I'm not going to criticize someone. I'm going to use this energy to create an impact, to improve. I'm going to do it better. So very thankful in this 250th anniversary of America that my rights from God are respected. My creativity is noticed. Like, we're allowed to homeschool because it's part of our rights from our Creator to exercise our creativity come up with ideas, execute them into something that can improve society. And I'm always wondering, how can we make things better? How can we improve the system? And so I'm just very thankful to live in America. I told my kids that homeschooling is illegal in some other countries, and they were shocked, because we're like a peaceful homeschool family. They learn a lot. Like, why would this be illegal? So it's sad when I realize other countries don't have this freedom.